Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sophia Wardell, and today we have a very special guest, cartographer and author Isaac Dushku. Isaac Dushku is a cartographer who has hand-drawn over 80 unique maps and published 3 books. He strives to capture the soul of many and any place for his clients, transporting people to other worlds and simpler times. Thanks for joining us today, Isaac.
Oh, my pleasure.
Today, I want to talk about the importance of maps with you because you do and know all things maps. So let's talk a little bit about placement. Should a map be included in a book or should it remain out of a book as a reference tool for the author only?
Well, you'll never hear somebody complain that there was a map in a book. So
Right.
obviously, most books leave it out. But if you have a map, I mean, everyone would love that. There's not a single person that would complain, in my opinion. So, Harry Potter should have had a map, I guess.
That's a good point. I always find myself when I'm reading a book with a map, going back to the map and being like, okay, where are they? Ah, okay, they're here. Okay, so I see.
Mhm.
And if included, where in the book should the map be placed? Front, back, inside, somewhere?
That's not like, I mean, whatever works for your particular vision, but like putting it in the front if it's like a small little map. And then what some people do is put it in the back if it's like a fold out map, if you want it to be really big and
Mm.
stuff. And if you can afford that, do that. That'd be sweet.
Now, have you ever seen a map that's an insert in a book?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, those are cool because I'll usually cut them out and stuff with like very carefully, but with an X-Acto knife, and then as I'm reading it, I can look at the map.
Oh, that is neat. And we've touched on this a tiny bit, but how can a map enhance the overall reader experience?
Especially if it's for like a fantasy book, or I guess a history book. It gives a physicality to what you're reading. So, if you're creating your own world, it might be pretty concrete in your own imagination, but putting
Mhm.
it down on paper, especially with a map, it doesn't cancel out other people's, imaginations for that world because, there's still a lot that can be inferred
Mhm.
from with maps. And so it makes it feel much more real, especially if the map like looks old. Like if it looks old, then it feels like the world that you've created was created long before you ever started writing about it. So
Right.
that's my opinion.
Now it's a great opinion because I think you're right. It can help visualize the setting, and so you can follow the story a little bit better, and then you still have all the whole world that's been built for you to interpret through your own imagination.
Totally. Totally.
And would you say that a map could provide clues or foreshadowing for plot developments in a book?
I think it could. I think that would be like a fun detail to add and stuff, like have some sort of dark, mysterious thing in the corner that maybe you
Hmm.
don't even reference in the first book or something.
Right, like
Go
you miss
back
it.
and then people be like, "Oh, that was an Easter egg." Like, I don't know, it's fun. Like you could just do that with a map. You could put things in it that people in retrospect would be like, "Oh, that's clever." It's all
Yeah,
it's all a plus. Anything with a map is a plus because most people aren't doing it. And
right.
nobody hates it. Nobody hates it.
That's so true. And on that note, with the creation of a map in general, would you say that if I was an author and I was writing, say, a fantasy book and I wanted a map for this fantasy world, should I try and draw it myself or should I hire a professional cartographer?
Well, give it a shot because I did not like I've now become like a an authority on fantasy map making on Instagram at least. Um, and I started only 4 years ago. So like, like in a pretty short amount of time, you can create good enough maps that you could be happy with. If you really, really struggle, what I suggest is try your darndest, like draw as detailed as you possibly can, and then take that map and go try to find someone else. And so do your best. And if you can't, if it doesn't look good or you just feel ashamed of it, then take it to like a website like Fiverr or something like that, and you can find some really incredible artists that can do it. I don't want to like plug my own product, but I did create like stamps where you could create your own map in kind of an old fantasy style. So it's just like little stamps of mountains or trees and stuff. That could be cool. Totally not necessary though.
Well, that's a great point of the stamps you created because you also have created a book, which kind of ties into my question about what skills or
Yeah.
resources are needed to create a compelling map.
Yeah. So obviously, like, I think the book is cool because I made it and I feel very proud of it. Um, but essentially, map making is supposed to be pretty, especially with fantasy map making. It's not hyper fixated on accuracy or other things like that. It's supposed to be fun and invoke some sort of feeling and physicality to your world that doesn't exist. And so, yeah, I wrote a book, my most recent book, and it's just like simple tips and tricks on how to draw a fantasy map, but it's disguised as a children's book. So it still has a little story, but there's like practice pages in the back, little things where you can actually draw into the book itself to practice drawing the mountains, practice drawing trees, and all that kind of stuff so that you can feel confident to try it on your own.
Well, I love that because it's disguised as a children's book with a neat story, but adults could get that and practice map drawing for their own
Yeah.
books or any or gifts or anything.
Yeah, it's good for children, but it's also, I mean, I'm an adult and I wrote a book that I thought would be cool. So,
Right.
yeah, it's appropriate for kids, but it's also great for adults too.
Right. And how could a map, say, evolve with the story?
And that's a good question. I guess some people they like if you're writing a series of books, the map will almost literally evolve, like showing different parts and stuff. But I assume, I don't know if this is totally true, but when some of the great authors like Tolkien and Sanderson and stuff, when they've made a map of their world, I don't know if this is true, and this might be blasphemous, but I'm assuming that some of the places they put on the map have not yet even had a story about them in their brain. Like, as
Mm.
in, they're literally putting it on the map, and then maybe later they'll think about, a story about the place instead of the other way around, where they start with some great story in their brain and then put it down on a map. And I think that's probably true, where the map itself can be like a story roadmap and take you to places that perhaps you wouldn't have gone if you planned it the other way around.
Yeah, that's a great point because it goes into world building, which initially,
Mhm.
it's probably becomes easier the more of the world you build ahead of time. And the
Yeah,
map really
yeah,
helps with that. And then, could a map have hidden or unexplored areas that will be revisited later? We talked about that, and that
sure.
is something that could be really interesting and exciting and kind of an aha moment where you go back to book one and you see the location on it and you're like, "Oh, I totally missed that."
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
well, Isaac, thank you so much. That was wonderful insight on the importance of maps.
Well, no problem.
Lastly, where can our listeners find and connect with you?
Well, I've got a website, so that's lordofmaps.com. And then I'm pretty active on Instagram, and you can always send me a message on Instagram, and that's Lord underscore of maps. And then TikTok, YouTube, whatever you want.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's interview with cartographer and author Isaac Dushku. Be sure to check out our website for more videos. Wishing you all a fulfilling and successful writing journey.